You're listening to Playcallers. New episodes dropping every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Available to stream across all platforms. Also, be sure to check out the Tiger's Den podcast. New episodes dropping every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Available to stream across all platforms. Hello and welcome to the Playcallers podcast. Listeners, we're back with episode 12 with defensive coordinator and linebackers coach Scott Goolsby for the Auburn High School. Coach Goolsby, how are you doing on this Sunday? We usually record these on a Saturday, but we recorded it on Sunday. Also, our co-host Taylor Gottney isn't here for y'all Playcallers listeners out there. He's on his way back from a college visit. So it's just going to be me and Reese today. But Coach Goolsby, how are you doing on this Sunday night?
I'm doing well, guys. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
We feel honored to have you on this show, and I'm going to go ahead and get us started off with some questions. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with asking you, how would you describe your specific style of coaching as a whole, and what about defense makes you want to coach on that side of the ball specifically, since you're the defensive coordinator of the team?
Man, that's a good question. I think my style of coaching in terms of the way I relate to the kids is I try to coach them hard. And I've been thinking about this really all day because obviously the season ended Friday night, and I was thinking about, the seniors and, I hope they had a positive experience playing for us. So, but I try to coach the little details I got. And I think that's my job. If I'm going to coach them, I want to coach them as hard as I can and coach all the little things and, just give them everything I got like I asked them to do. And, I never want them to think that they're just a, tool to win a football game. I want them to know that I love them and that I care for them and that I hope they have, success after they get through playing football for us. And I've been texting I've been texting all my guys all day, just kind of telling them that. So I think that's my style. I only know one way to do it, and that's to do it hard and give them everything I got, like I said. But I want them to know that I love them. That was how I would characterize my coaching style. As far as defense, I love the aggressive nature of defense, and I've said for a long time, football's gotten away from that a little bit over the last 25 years, and if it ever gets to where you can't be aggressive on defense, I'm not going to coach anymore because that's just kind of my style and my personality. I love that part of the game. I love the physical aspect of it, and I love how, I love how you just get to take a kid and try to get him to learn to just go turn it loose and be aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. That's one thing I love about it is that part of the game. And then I also just love the kind of the chess match between, an offense and what they run and trying to figure out why are they doing this and then how we match it and watching all the pieces of the puzzle just kind of get put together that, hopefully turns out to be a pretty picture of stopping the offense. So those are the two main reasons that I enjoy coaching defense.
Yes, sir. That's awesome. And I mean, talking about the game on Friday, me and Reese were at the game. We were filming Blue Collar Mentality, and obviously didn't go the way that, any of us in the city of Auburn wanted to. 49-21, tough loss on the road against Central. And then we were there after the game as well, heard the post-game speech from Coach Etheredge, and all the players were very, emotional because it's tough. I mean, last game in high school, some of them will play D1, some of them will go on to pursue other careers. And so, tough loss. And I'm going to ask one quick question about the actual game. In terms of the game, it started out the way y'all wanted to on defense with the fumble recovery inside the 20. Me and the boys discussed on H's Countdown the other day before the game. The turnover battle would be key, in that game with it being second round of the playoffs and rivalry and whatnot. But what exactly was y'all's game plan going into this game in terms of turnovers, also as well as just the overall game plan on defense?
Well, the game plan's got to – he's as good as advertised. In my mind, he's the best receiver that I've ever tried to defend against in 24 years of coaching. He's He's really, really good. And what makes that team dangerous is they're good everywhere. If you try to take him away, there's another guy. And if you try to take that guy away, well, then there's back over to Cam Coleman. And there's really just weapons everywhere you look, and they're really good up front. And so, the first time we played them, we tried to stop the run and get pressure and single up Cam Coleman. And so this time we tried to double him, and that allowed him to go to, the running back and to Dalen Upshaw and to number 2. And then they were still able to go to, Cam Coleman too. So the game plan was to double him and to get after the quarterback. And, none of that really worked. I mean, obviously, and, they're good. I'll be surprised if they don't win the state. I'll be very surprised if they don't win the state championship. Whether it's Thompson or Hewitt Trustful, both those teams are really well, but I don't see a weakness on this Central team. So it'll be interesting for sure. But that was the game plan.
Yes, sir. I mean, speaking about Cam Coleman, I mean, me and Reese got the chance to talk to him, I mean, after the game, because we usually talk to, like, some of the best players of the game, interview them after the game for both sides. We talked to Bryce Kane the week before. I mean, y'all went up against two of the best receivers in the state of Alabama,
Right.
2 weeks in a row. And, I mean, yeah, like you said, Cam Coleman, top 10 player next year's recruiting class, heck of a player. But I want to look back on the entire season as a whole. I mean, this Auburn team fought through a lot of adversity, from early injuries as well as a tough loss by 1 point on the literal last play of the game against Enterprise early this season. But this team was able to fight back and get to the second round of the playoffs and finish 9-3. But 2 of those losses were coming up against, the number 1 team in the state in Central. So I just want to ask, what would you say about this team's heart this season? And how were they able to fight through adversity this season all the way up until the very end?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about their heart. And for me, just as a coach, it's probably been there's been more tight ball games in this season than probably ever in my career. And we talk to the kids on defense all the time about having pride and not letting people in the end zone and making them earn it. And when you go back and you look at how the Enterprise game went with the turnovers, and then we're winning, and then we don't, and they kick a field goal at the end. I was proud of the defense at the end for how they played and for not letting them in the end zone and making them kick a field goal, because I thought we could block it and win the game. And then you go to Dothan, and that's double overtime, and then you go to Opelika, and you win that game in the last few seconds. It's unbelievable what they did for us. And, I'm going to tell them all that at some point. I kind of have already, but they played with tremendous heart all year in every single game. And they did it again Friday night. We could have easily folded in the second half and gave up 75 points. I mean, that team's got the potential to score whatever they want to score. But the kids didn't quit, and they played with some pride. And, we asked them all year to play for the A. And, just represent that. It means something to, us as coaches and them as players and to community members. And so we wanted to represent the right way. And I thought they did it all year long. And I told them, after the game and then some through text messages, don't let, the results of the last game, make you forget about all the good that happened through the year. I mean, we won 9 ball games and we lost our starting quarterback. And we lost a starting linebacker to an ACL, and we lost another linebacker to an MCL.
Yeah.
And so it was just a lot of injuries, a lot of guys that had to play, new positions. I think the last 4 games of the year was the first 4 games in a row where we had, all the same linebackers starting the game. And so there was a lot, and I appreciate their efforts. It was unreal.
Yes, sir. I mean, I was a witness to it. Everybody at Auburn High School was a witness to it. I mean, this team did really fight through the season from week to week. No game was really like gimme games. You could argue like Jag and Smith Station, they haven't had the greatest seasons this year, but every game was tough, and y'all found a way to get to 9 wins. And then be competitive, against, some of the best teams in the state. But my last question before I send it to my co-host Reese here for a little bit, I want to stay on the topic of the season as a whole. What were some of your favorite moments with this team, whether it was, during summer practices, preparing for the season, throughout the week, during the season at practice, or at any of the games specifically?
Well, I mean, some of my favorite games. I mean, the Dothan game, just the way it went, the way it ended. The Opelika game, the way it went and the way it ended. Those are some of my favorite games. And then, of course, Prattville game here at the Duck. That was a fun game. Uh, those were some fun. But some of my funnest moments with them were at practice and in our meetings and, just being around them. We've told them all year they were a funny group. They were a good group to be around. Um, like I said, they were very easy to coach because they took it. There was no, you know, football is an aggressive kind of a passionate, and people think, hey coaches, y'all just go out there and yell all the time and all that, and that's not really true. I mean, sometimes you have to yell because they're all spread out over the field. But whenever they did get yelled at and get coached really, really hard and maybe got punished, they just took it and did it with a good attitude. And that was fun for me. But just being around the guys in our film sessions and in the weight room, they're just a bunch of good dudes. And it's easy for a coach when you enjoy being around the kids that you're coaching. That's that makes the job a whole lot more enjoyable.
Yes, sir. I like that. And now I'm going to send it to my co-host, Reese. He's going to ask you some questions. Reese, go ahead and take it away.
How's it going, Coach?
Going good, man.
My first question I'm going to start with is after Friday night's loss, what were some positives you saw from that game, from your defense?
Well, I think the pride that they displayed in the second half. We told them at one point under the 10, so look, guys, the outcome of the game is not the point right now. The point is, if we are going out tonight and this is the end, how do you want to go out? Do you want to go out quitting and just laying down, or do you want to go out and play with pride and represent the A and play for the A like we've asked you to all year? And we told them that under the 10, and then, at halftime, we went in and, made a couple adjustments to try to give ourselves some kind of chance in the second half. But, we drilled some things and told them, but none of this is going to work if we don't go out and play with pride, like pride for just yourself and your family and for the team and for the A. And they did that. And so for me, that was the biggest positive that we could take out of that whole game is the pride that they played with.
Yeah, it was a very good game in the second half. Y'all played on defense, and you guys didn't hold them to a lot of points there in the second half, honestly, that we saw on the sideline. And my next question is, obviously, you guys are going to spend some time with your family over this holiday season coming up. But what are you guys going to work on defensively in the off season to prepare for next season?
Oh man, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't had a ton of time to think about that yet. I've still been kind of processing this season. I actually had told myself that I was going to give myself this week before I even started thinking about next season. But I already do know some things in my mind. We'll always work on, tackling. We're going to work on just a couple different. We're a 4-man front team, and we're going to still have that, but we're going to work on some 3-man front stuff. And a lot of the same stuff. We'll go to coaching clinics. There'll be coaching clinics all across the country, really, that we'll go to. But to be honest, the next couple of weeks, I'm going to relax a little bit this week, and this will be the first time in probably 5 years I've been able to go anywhere for Thanksgiving because of football, which I wished it would be like that the rest of my career. I'd much rather, be here practicing football, but we're not. So I'm going to go to my parents and enjoy some time down there for this week. And then, we'll tie up this season and spend the next couple of days at school packing everything away and cleaning up the field and trying to get all that done. And then when we come back, we'll get in that weight room, and that's going to be a big thing this all season. I feel like we got a good group coming back, and so we're going to try to pound them in that weight room and get them bigger, faster, stronger. So that'll be the very first thing we do when we get back from Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And then my next question is, how special is it to teach some of these students in driver's ed at the high school and then see them on the field playing for you?
Yeah, that's cool. And a lot of the guys that my wife and I were talking, some of the guys in this class, like we watched them grow up. Tyler McKenna and David Smith were ball boys basically when I first got here. So they've been on the football field with us since they were kids, and so my wife's invested in this with the kids like I am. So she's crying on the field Friday night. My daughters are crying. My youngest is a ball girl, and so they're invested in it. But yeah, I mean that part's cool. And Ty Hudson was in the fourth grade when she taught fourth grade at Rice Mill, and so he's a junior and he played a big role for us, and he'll be a senior next year. So yeah, I mean in terms of just being a teacher and teaching kids in driver's ed and then seeing them grow up and play football, that's cool. But then also, my wife's got a role in there too. She taught a lot of these kids and
Yeah.
watched them grow up and play. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And then my last question before I turn it back over to Max to end the show. Are there any younger guys you're expecting to make a splash next year in the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I know, but Carnell Jackson is a sophomore. He'll be a junior for us next year, and he tore his was and missed maybe the first half of the season, but the
Yeah.
second half he got in and got a lot of reps, and he's a big, strong kid that I think is going to be a really good player, and I think he's going to be a college football player. So him, Jackson Lovern is a kid that didn't play a lot this year. He's a really good football player, but he played behind some seniors. I expect him to play a huge role for us on defense next year. Isaac Benford's a sophomore, is another kid. Caleb Pitts is coming back up front. Carlo Ford, Mike Foster. Of course, we'll have Ty Hudson back and Mike Gunn, and then I'm trying to think of other names that I know I'm forgetting, but those are a handful of names that I expect us to. Cameron Creighton is another one that I expect to have a big year. We always lose a lot of seniors. I think this year we had two starters coming back on defense, and so it was a process for us to develop a unit that could compete. And they did that. We gave up 150 points all year during the regular season. That's 15 points a game. So good when you're playing at all level of football. And
Yeah.
so those guys, I think, will come back and hopefully help us build another unit that can, bust through the wall this time and beat Central or whoever it is and get back to the championship game.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, Coach. I'm going to end you off with 3 quick questions, and then
Yep.
we'll let you go on with your Sunday night, Sunday evening. I'm going to go and get started with talking about your relationship with some specific coaches. First, Coach E, Coach Etheredge. You were one of the several coaches that was with him at Oxford a couple years ago, and then you chose to follow him to Auburn. So what about Coach E made you want to follow him to Auburn, and what can you say about y'all's relationship?
Well, I was actually not with him at Oxford. I've been in Auburn for a while, and he kept me here. He kept me here, which was, to be honest, I was kind of worried about anytime there's a coaching change and you're on the staff that was here before, you kind of worry about what's going to happen. But Coach, he kept me, and he's a great guy. We got a great relationship. We and laugh at stupid Instagram reels and stuff all the time, just like people probably wouldn't expect football coaches to do. But he's a guy that lets me do my job and does not handicap me or anybody on staff in any way.
Yep.
But it's also a lot of responsibility, because if a guy's going to let you do your job and give you the freedom to do your job, it makes you want to do a good job for him. So, I love him. I think he's a great guy and he's a great person. And like I said, it's huge for me as a coordinator to have a head coach that just lets me do my job. I love that part.
Yes, sir. I mean, I've been able to, talk to Coach E a couple times in the halls, and the few times when I was at y'all's practice earlier this year, filming Blue Collar Mentality. I mean, yeah, he's, great guy. I mean, he's really, always upbeat, and always just really kind. And, but I also want to talk about your relationship, because you're not only the defensive coordinator, you're also the linebackers coach,
Right.
along with Coach Ferguson,
Yeah.
who we had the pleasure to interview in episode 5 of the show. What would you say about your relationship with Coach Ferg, and as well as the rest of the coaching staff in general?
I can't say enough about our coaching staff. They're a lot of times on staff, you get guys that may have ego problems, and it's unpleasant to work. And I hate that. I mean, I've been doing this too long. I have no interest in having an ego and dealing with an ego guy and being in a miserable work environment. And We don't have that on our coaching staff. They've done a great job all year long. They coach the little details. Their team players, their team guys, everybody in our staff room when we get in there to meet's got a voice, and every opinion's important, and we try to hear them all out. But as far as G-Ferg goes, he's a really young guy, and he's a really good coach. He's a better coach at his age than I was at that age. He's a great person, number one. And, that's good for him. That's good for the kids to be around somebody like that. I'd rather them be around a good person before I would, a bad person, just a good coach. So I love G. Ferg a lot. He was brought up the right way, and he does a good job on the field, too.
Yes, sir. I mean, we've had the pleasure to talk to a lot of the coaching staff this year, and I mean, all of them, have been really nice, really great people, and who really enjoy their job. I mean, when I asked you the question earlier, when I said, how do you describe your coaching style? We asked that to a lot of the coaches, and a lot of y'all say similar things in terms of how y'all interact with the players, and like y'all, try to actually, get to know them and not just be, hard on them all the time and be super serious. So, I mean, that's just great to have, as a community and a unit. But my last question, and we ask this to every coach as the final question. Usually it's Taylor, but he's on the way back. He's on a plane right now. Right. But what does Auburn High School, as well as the city of Auburn as a whole, mean to you personally?
Yeah, it means a lot. I'll just say this: I've been here a while. I think I've been here 10 years. It's a great place to live. It's a great school system. Sometimes I think we forget, and by we I mean me. We forget how blessed we are in Auburn. Because we just live here every day. And I think sometimes we forget how blessed we are at Auburn High School. And, I get this may sound corny, but when the band plays Hooray for Auburn, that hits me in the core. I love that song. I feel like I didn't grow up here. I didn't graduate from Auburn High, but I feel like I'm an Auburn High guy. We were at the road little, not a pep rally, but where they open car doors, and I'm standing there and watching the kids open up car doors, and the cheerleaders are there, and football players in the band, and the band's playing Hooray for Auburn. And I told my wife, I said, I don't think I could be anywhere song if I was at another school or somewhere else coaching against Auburn, and I heard that song. I don't think I could do it. I think I'm an Auburn High guy. That's just what I am. So it's a blessing to be here. The kids are great. The teachers are great. The administration's great. The city officials are great. Mayor Anders called me yesterday just to check on me and make sure that I was fine after the game. And he's been an encourager for me since I've been in Auburn and my family. So, it's a great, great place to live. There's a few other places around the state that I can think of that I would go, man, that's a better place than Auburn. I can't think of it. So we're blessed here for sure.
Yes, sir. I mean, I feel the exact same way. I mean, I've lived in Auburn since I was 3 years old. So, and I mean, I've just loved the city the entire time I've been here. Love, the teachers that I've been able to meet because I've grown up through Auburn City Schools. Actually, I was talking to my parents earlier today, and they reminded me the reason that we moved to Auburn from Mississippi, where I was born, is because of the educational system, because of the school system, Auburn City Schools. And so, I mean, yeah, it's just great, to be here in Auburn. I'm as a senior, it's kind of, I said I wouldn't be, emotional on graduation night, but I have a feeling it's coming. But no, thank you so much, Coach, though, for your time. Reese, do you have any other questions for Coach Goolsby?
Nope.
Before we let you go, Coach Goolsby, we're going to go ahead and do our segment called Sounds to the Game, where Reese, my co-host, got some interviews on Friday night at the Central game. He got an interview with Coach Etheredge before the game. He also got some commentary before the game of himself, and then he also got the refs talking to the players during the coin toss. All that and more on Sounds of the Game. Enjoy.
I'm here with head football coach, Coach Etheredge. Coach Etheredge, what is y'all's mentality going into the game tonight against Central? You already played them this season, but sadly lost at home.
Just win or go home. You don't win, you got to go home. So yeah, that's our mentality. We got to win this football game. Just do the little things right. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give them outs on third down and longs like we did last time. And take care of the football. We turned the ball over a couple times last time. We can't do that.
what are you looking for from your quarterback, Jackson Kilgore, tonight?
I'm looking for him and Henry to play great tonight. Those guys got to lead us. They got to be the guys who do the majority of touching the ball. So, if you're going to touch the ball, you got to produce on nights like this. This is a big game.
And then, my last question is, our defense the last game when we played Central, we did very well. We played very well, actually, on the defensive side of the ball. Are you just looking for that performance again here tonight?
Yeah, we got to stop the run like we did last time, and we also got to find a way to find 8 and keep him from making big plays.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, buddy.
Referee, this is Larry Stubbs. He's your winner tonight. Congratulations on being chosen captains. It's an honor to be a captain. So let's show good sportsmanship and encourage the teammates to show good sportsmanship. Auburn, you're the best team. You were called point before I put the point. Point on this side is the wing for equal low to anchor. On this side is the field goal seat. What's your call? Tell me. All right, the call is I drop it with flip it in. And it is heads. You won the toss.
It's Reese Kinder here, back again just before the game's about to start. We're actually about to start the kick right now. As I think Auburn is going to, Auburn's going to kick to Central. So can't wait to get this great game started, and I will see you guys at the end of the first quarter.
That'll do it for Playcallers episode 12. Thank you so much to Coach Goolsby for taking this time to sit down with us at the end of the season, and we look forward to next season to see what y'all have in store for us. But Coach, is there anything else you'd like to say to the fans before you go?
No, I guess I would say thank you guys for following our team around. Every place we went this year, we had a packed, crowd. I think about when we went down to Baker, 4 hours away, Mobile County Public School, and it was raining all day. I wondered what would our crowd look like. We had a better crowd than Baker did. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Tiger fans travel, and they're loud, and they're supportive. And, you guys with mass media, you guys do a great job. So, just
Thank you.
highly connected with all that, man. It's been a fun year.
Thank you so much, Coach Goolsby, once again. And like I said before, that'll do it for Playcallers episode 12. Until next week when we get another great coach on this podcast, we're saying see y'all.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition of Playcallers. Be sure to check out our episodes dropping every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Central. Also be sure to check out our other podcast, The Tiger's Den, where we dive into the world of sports. Be sure to check out those episodes coming out every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central. Thanks for listening.